that has a butterfly effect and alters his timeline. If time is like that, if it is, if there is an arrow of time, from the past to the present to the future, then that could be a situation where if somebody from the future does manage to come here, that they're going to want to avoid as much as possible. Of course, any visits from the future to the past is going to cause some kind of change. It's inevitable.
Yeah, I agree with that. But when I think about, past or future or what have you, time travel, and being us in the future, for example, wouldn't they be trying to help us with what's going on? I mean, to our climate, to Antarctica, the North Pole, what could happen here in the very near future with the North Pole? Wouldn't they be telling us what we could do? Because, I mean, in 20 years from now, let's face it, I'm not going to be here. You probably won't be here. But, our grandkids will be here. And I think we're leaving them a planet that is not going to be very livable. And I would think if somebody was coming back and watching or whatever they're doing, they would try to give us some type of solution for we wouldn't, destroy ourselves. And evidently they must know then what's in store for us.
Well, perhaps they can't. Perhaps it can't be changed. Perhaps it's fixed, so to speak. For the show that Timothy Green Beckley and myself do, Exploring the Bizarre, we interviewed this professor who had written a book that looked at this type of scenario. The thesis being that UFOs are time travelers, and this guy, I mean, anthropology was more of his forte. So I mean, he was approaching this idea on those lines, but he brought in like the current theories in on the nature of time in the universe, and right now one of the more popular ones is what's called the block universe, which basically says that time doesn't really exist as we think of it. I mean, the whole arrow of time is more of a construct of the human mind, and that the past, present, and future all exist at the same time and cannot be changed. That the future is as fixed as the past is. So if a time traveler is able to come to the past, it already happened. So anything that a time traveler does when he goes into the past, it doesn't matter because it already happened. I don't know if I'm explaining that properly.
Oh, yeah. I understand, but maybe some of the listeners don't. That's the part. Right.
Which, I mean, there's a lot of people who, I mean, they hate that idea because that means that, well, I mean, it kind of flies into the face of the whole we have free will type of thing. So, it just could very well be that you can't come back to the past and fix the problems that are now apparent in the future, but possibly you can get things from the past that will help the future world, or whatever, or you're just coming into the past for just sheer scientific study. I mean, how great would it be to be able to go into the past and see all the things that we've read about in history, and maybe find out just exactly how true a lot of these things that we have been told over the years. It could be the same way with future time travelers. They're coming back just to see what was going on and what we did that screwed up the future.
Well, we've done a lot to screw up our future. I can tell you that. We actually are the ones.
Yeah, well, that seems to be the nature of mankind. Just mess things up as much as we possibly can, and then when it's too late, try to put a Band-Aid over it.
Yeah, well, I got a funny feeling that at this point, the Band-Aid isn't going to do much good. What is really concerns me, okay, on time travel, that if they're coming to our time to experiment, do whatever, this has been going on for many years, like with cattle mutilation, human mutilation, people being abducted. How many people do they have to abduct? How many bulls and cows and deers and people do they have to, do mutilation on?
Oh, well, yeah, and I think you also have to consider that, there may be more than one group involved with this. If you do have the reality of time travel, not only in our future, but if you consider the idea that our universe is actually a multiverse, that there are a number of, or maybe an infinite number of parallel universes right alongside this one, then there could be just a multitude of different people, races, what have you, that have discovered somewhere along the lines how to travel from one reality to the other, maybe without even the knowledge that there are others who are able to do it, unless they accidentally, rear-end each other. When everybody's viewing the Titanic to see what happened and crash into each other.
Well, some people believe that we can only go forward in time, but it's been already proven that, we can go back in time, mathematically, that we can go back in time just as much as we can go forward in time. So I for the people who think that, I think they need to do a little bit more research. But on the other hand, I kind of think maybe it could be other parallel universes where they maybe perfected a way to go through whatever into another, universe, another parallel planet. It'd be opposite of ours with slight changes.
There, right now, I'm reading this really great book by a guy by the name of Paul Eno, and he's somebody that you need to get onto your show sometime because he's just a great guy and very, very interesting. And he has investigated ghosts and hauntings and cryptids and UFOs for years. And he basically has come to the conclusion that all of these associated phenomena, especially, say, like ghosts and hauntings, aren't necessarily spirits of the dead. It's not your great aunt Gladys haunting your house or anything like that, but that he sees it more along the lines of interdimensional. Really isn't really a good word, but alternate reality beings that are able to interact with ours. Some of these beings, because basically we're looking at an infinite number of realities, have learned how to travel from reality to reality. And in fact, he says that a lot of these types of hauntings, poltergeist hauntings and the like, are actually brought about by what he calls parasites. They are creatures that feed off of us, that they feed off of, especially our negative emotions and fear. So when people experience, say, like a very extreme haunting or poltergeist, it naturally scares them, and we're like a smorgasbord to these beings. but he says that there's more to it than that. There is like an infinite number of these alternate realities, and so associated phenomena, UFOs, cryptid creatures, things like that, are things that maybe occasionally bleed through these inter reality walls. He calls them brains, not brain like in your head, but like membranes, and that there are times where these brains are weak, usually in especially different locations on the planet that maybe has a higher natural electromagnetic fields. And then, of course, our own technology, places that have intersecting power lines and things like that, can actually cause weakness in these brains and allow glimpses, or actually maybe brief travels back and forth between these realities. But there have been a lot of cases where people, here, on planet Earth, have accidentally stepped through and have caught glimpses of these other realities. Some people make it back, and possibly some of these mysterious disappearances that we always are hearing about, could be some unfortunate souls that are able to step across, but are unable to come back again. He has some interesting stories about how people's interactions with these ghosts, in quotation marks, where the ghosts are just as afraid because, from their perception, we're the ghosts. We're the ones that are haunting them, and not vice versa. So
that does make logical sense, though.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Oh, yeah. What is your honest feeling, your own gut feeling? Do you want to save that for after break? Because we're about 1 minute.
Let's save that, because I'll go and I'll just keep talking, and then the commercial time will be up. And
Okay, well, we're going to go on break. We'll be back in 3 minutes. You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark with Tim Swartz, myself, Gary, and James out there somewhere reading about penises in a jar. We'll talk to you later, and we'll be back in 3 minutes.
You thirst for some significance of the fourth dimensional kind. You enter a realm of spirit, of sight and sound.